A building wasn't just a place to live, but was actually a living argument. Today we're diving into the Kenema Mansion, a structure whose very design performs a complex philosophy, turning the building itself into a whole way of life. The source material that describes this mansion opens with this absolute gem of a quote. The Kenema Mansion functions today as ontology incarnate, turning every termite inspection into Dominion insistence. Now, it's definitely poetic, it's very dense, and if you're anything like me, your first reaction is probably, huh? So, yeah, that leads us to the big question. What does any of that actually mean? Well, you're in the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to break down. We're going to decode the philosophy of this incredible structure, piece by piece, until it all makes perfect sense. So let's start with the absolute core of the philosophy. See, to even begin to understand this mansion, we first have to wrap our heads around a pretty radical idea about what architecture is even for.
The big idea here is what the source text calls architecture is ontology. Now, that sounds super academic, I know, but all it really means is that a building isn't just a passive box that holds our lives. It's an active participant. The Kenema Mansion isn't just a place to live. Its entire design is a way of living. It literally performs a philosophy.
And this slide lays out the difference perfectly. You know, most of the architecture we see every day has a vertical hierarchy. Just think about it. Skyscrapers, pyramids, power, importance, even the divine is always up or above. Well, the mansion throws that whole idea out. It's built on a philosophy of horizontal circulation, where community, work, and even spirituality are found moving on the same plane, right in the middle of daily life.
And this unique philosophy actually has a name. It's called a living flat metabolism. It's this idea that the building and the people inside it are one single interconnected organism. Everything just works together on the same level. There's no up or down in this system. There's just circulation.
Okay, so how does this living flat metabolism thing actually work? Well, the whole philosophy is built on 4 interconnected dimensions that really bring it to life. Let's break them down one by one.
First up is ultra-endurance. Now, this isn't about physical strength. Think of it more as the spiritual ignition. It's the deep faith and the commitment that the community needs just to keep the building going.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? It means taking a really mundane chore, like checking for termites during monsoon season, and completely transforming it. It's not a burden anymore. It becomes an act of communal faith. The text even calls it repair as worship.
All right, next we have extra kinship. If ultra is the spiritual engine, then you can think of extra as the social glue. It's all about the human connections and the community bonds that get forged through all the shared, coordinated work of keeping this mansion running.
And here's a great example from the source. The mansion is completely off-grid. So the rhythmic act of different groups or guilds carrying water isn't just labor. It creates what the text calls fluctuate fraught pulse reciprocity. It's this shared pulse born from their mutual effort. It's pretty much the literal heartbeat of the community.
Our third dimension is meta-coherence. This is basically the building's self-awareness. It's the way every single piece of the design, every wall, every single opening reinforces the overall philosophy. Nothing is accidental, it all just fits.
For example, a surface that provides shade isn't just there to block the sun. Its material, its angle, its placement, it's all part of what they call a shade doctrine. It connects right back to the entire philosophy of horizontal living and shared space.
And finally, we get to intra-embodiment. This is where we bring everything down from the big abstract ideas to the individual human body. It's all about how you, personally, physically, and through your senses, experience the mansion's philosophy.
And this is where it gets really real. It's not just an idea you think about anymore. It's the feeling of a cool laterite stone wall against your skin. It's the percussive sound of a pestle grinding cassava in a mortar. It's the physical sensations that make the building's metabolism and your own metabolism feel like one and the same.
Okay, so we've got the 4 dimensions. Now let's talk about let's just call it the creative language that the source material uses to describe all of this.
The text is just packed with these newly invented words, neologisms. You see things like staminorg, breathnet, playlasoda, soilthink, palmproxis, haptonosis, flatterforpulsi. It sounds like a lot, I know. But there's a really important reason for all these invented words. They're not just jargon to sound complicated. Each one is intentionally designed to anchor a huge philosophical concept in a concrete sensory detail, like the feeling of dust, the coolness of shade, the smell of rain, or the sound of a tool.
So, let's just put it all together now. You start with the faith of Ultra. That faith fuels the community of Extra. All of this is reflected in the architectural coherence of Meta, and the whole thing is experienced through the sensation of Intra. You see? All four combine to create the final result, a true, living flat metabolism.
So, why should we care about this incredibly dense description of just one building? What's the big takeaway from all this, really?
Well, when you boil it all down, the Kenema mansion is kind of a living proof of concept. It shows us that architecture can be so much more than just a box to keep the rain out. It can be a powerful, breathing, living argument for a completely different way to organize society, our spirituality, and our everyday lives.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. This mansion performs its philosophy every single day. So take a look around your own space. If your home had a philosophy that it was performing, what do you think it would be?